Hi everyone. Good morning. Or good afternoon. Yeah, you were talking about that one a lot yesterday. That was a really, really nice move on that. Nice work on that one. Bernie was just talking about MSOS. I looked at this off a 5-month range. It looks like it just broke some of this overhead here. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of looked at it off the daily. But it seems like that 532 break should take it to this range up here. Apple had a flip date today, and it looks like it's trying to engulf. I mean, Apple's pretty close to engulfing here. It just broke half that range. I was kind of watching to see if it would get over this wall right here. See where it stalled at that 75% mark on Apple? Hi. Good afternoon. So, yeah, Apple had some odds right now. For whoever was trading that. And it's kind of stalled right in this range. You can kind of see this breaching stick. So it needs to break over like this 53 mark and sustain this 2-7 area. So like this is a better hold this time off that 7-7 spot. Do you see that? Are you paying attention? So the odds of breaking this time are a lot higher. Okay, so like pay attention. See this? This previous hold back here? Okay, odds are a lot better. Plus we also have some flips right now on both Apple and ES. Tesla is still stalling our 349.29 spot. Most of the market has odds this afternoon at this time, especially if they were to negate. So the period of negation was between 309 and 312. Do you see how the Tesla essentially negated some downside there? This keeps it in odds for 321, 324, 328. It's kind of across the board. Same thing with Apple. You can see a lot of these kind of held range. Look at the solid hold here at 309 and the breaks here at 312. There's some odds at 316.18. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, look, I was just saying in the chat right now, like a few minutes ago, these were the... Where is it? Yeah, we have odds to negate downside at 308 through 311, 309 through 312. Okay, I don't know if you saw this, but most names had odds during this period of time, and you can kind of see it on the individual names too and how they immediately retracted that. Okay, do you guys see that? A very, 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 very important time of day to come back and break that range, and you can kind of see it all across. This kind of sets us up for some breaks around. The earliest odds were close to like 321, 324, 328, mostly through imbalance prints. I'm just going to set some alerts on a lot of individual names. Like we can set one probably on Tesla, breaking this 349.29 mark. We'll set one on Apple for maybe not all the way through, but maybe like through the 45 mark. 52 is the overhead. ES, it's pretty obvious. What are we looking to achieve today on ES? Oh wow, I hate 1,100 followers today. What are we looking to achieve on ES that I mentioned this morning? Do you guys remember yesterday's session at all? And the ranges that we talked about? Hey? Do you guys remember? Let's see who remembers. What did we talk about yesterday? This was pretty straightforward. What did we talk about yesterday? Yep. What was the downside though? That's just off the report, but what did we talk about yesterday in terms of downside? If they fail to hold 5.0 and 5.1, 5.2. What were the ranges that we said they could take this back to? So we said on a 64 to 66 point range. Okay. They could take us back to where? That's not what I was talking about in terms of overnight though. That's the overall plan, but for overnight risk. I'm just going over overnight. For real time today that would work really well, but for overnight, more so like holding the 66 point ratio. Remember? We said if we fail this 5.1 spot, especially since 5.1 was the 33, 34 point range or 44 point range off highs and off weekly open. Okay, so back in here. So we knew that failing these ranges here implied that they could take this all the way back to this range in here. Do you see it? We talked about this yesterday before I ended the stream. But anyway, okay, so this was really, really big spots for major support. These were like the 66 point ranges off highs, lows, open, close. And this was mostly if they failed to get those bigger structural breaks, okay? Or to sustain 60. So bigger structural breaks was breaking 7.4. We failed to do that, correct? Failing to sustain the 51, 50 area, we failed to do that. These were the 44 point ranges here, okay? See them? And that was kind of the implied risk down if they fail to sustain. Did we have risk of going even lower than this yesterday if they stalled here or failed? Yes, that's when we could have hit the neutral spots, right? That's when we could have maybe gone back to 50, 64.08, 64.12, 07, back to Friday's real-time open. So let's just do a quick recap here. Overnight support. Do you see how nicely they held this, guys? Look at how nicely they held the 66 point ranges. I discussed this right before I ended the stream yesterday for overnight support. This is extremely good support here. And look at that. ES breaking right on time. 3:21 was the first odd. Tesla breaking at 3:21 p.m. That's the first odd of breaking these high ranges here. Look at how clean this break is. Let's watch Apple and see if Apple gets the same breaks. I think Apple's alert went off too. This was the earliest period that I had on a retest of these highs. Everyone here should be long. Like there wasn't really any reason for you to be short this afternoon unless we had failed maybe the channel overnight. Like them holding, even though they broke into the channel, it was fine because we had room down to 6428, 6430. Okay? It was perfect range. Like perfect range from last night. And I did talk about that yesterday too. Okay? Wider downside was if they failed the 20s, then we'd have some risk of 64.08. I would have preferred to have avoided that though. Okay, this is measured off there. And that's on the failure of 5.1. So let's look at this. Look at this break, guys, at 3:21. That's insane. Are you guys seeing this break between 3:21 and 3:24? Like, are you kidding? Look at this. This is the range break that we had to break to our spots here. 6474, 6478. That's insane. This is insane. 647. That's why I want to jump on the mic because I wasn't going to stream today, but I'm like, we have really good odds this afternoon, so Especially if we negate. Look at this. I don't know if anyone tried any SPX. I picked some up off that 309, 312 window just in case we get this nice structure break here this afternoon. That's a crazy move. I think my order just filled. I had some sell orders too on some of my SPY calls at $1.50. I had picked up the the 643s at 80 cents on that hold. You guys should cover some here though. Okay? Do we have high odds for the today's date in general? Yes, which is another reason why we could negate. Okay? That's a huge trade. Guys, we didn't only time the pricing points, we timed the exact time that they would sustain, negate, retrace, break. Do you know how hard that is to do? Do you know how hard it is to do something like that? Look at the volume that came in too. That's impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Right to our spots. I wasn't going to, but I did figure that there's going to be a big break this afternoon, so I felt kind of better too. I took some Advil. It's actually really hot today. I don't know, maybe that's why, because I got really cold the night before, and then it was super hot yesterday, and it's super hot again today. I had like a high fever for some reason. My body was like burning this morning. What do you guys think? Not enough viewers for this. This was such a good break. I should have posted this. Sorry, I wasn't planning on streaming today, but I didn't want you guys to miss this kind of trade because I felt like some of you might miss this. Yeah, we have some other virus going around here. And I mean, all my nieces and nephews are sick again, and I'm always with them. So I feel like I just keep getting sick because I'm always with like 2- and 3-year-olds. Like, that's probably why I'm sick all the time. You didn't enter on this trade, Dunks? This is a really good trade. I wanted to cover the rest of this right now with you guys, but we were moving a little too fast, so I'll cover some in a sec here. Okay, so overnight you can kind of see they held those ranges. They broke back over 5.2. This was very important, guys, for last night in order to come back and sustain. I also noticed that they held the channel back here. Do you guys see this? This was a nice hold of 3.4 back here. This spot right here. Do you see it? So that was a really good hold of the channel. This implied they do not want to take this back to the zone, okay? And this range differential here, I figured could maybe be the offset that we get today. Maybe close to like 4 points or so. You can kind of see when they came back, broke over 5.2. They kind of went back and forth a little bit between 4.4. And it's the exact plan that we talked about last night. Oh, what did I say? I said that they could easily... Sorry. 6.4. on the report. Anyway, let me pull it up. Substack. Is he... Here we go. Okay. Where are we? This was on the report. So we can trade this week with slight caution, but overall we're mainly just focused on trying to achieve our upside ranges before end of Q3. We're still trading within that box range. If we sustain the channel, we have pretty decent odds to try getting to the upper channel by end of the week. So we could afford some risk down to these ranges because they were within range, like the 66-point ranges. But do you see how they tried so hard overnight here to hold 3-4, to hold 4-4, to hold 4-8? I need you guys to see this because this is very important. This is part of our weekly plan. Okay, and they broke down early in the week, which is a little bit better if they couldn't achieve range by the 25th or 6th, because then it gives us odds to keep extending till end of week through the 29th. Does that make sense? Well, I jumped on the stream on time to tell you guys that 321.24 were the flip breaks. 309, 312 was the negation period to try negating, heading down some more downside, which was basically going back beneath the means. The means is around 6.4, 6.5, correct? Do you see how here they basically kept it above core areas over 6.6? This was a very important time of day to make sure that they do not bring this back into the means. If they brought this back into the means during this period here, we likely wouldn't have had this upside break during this point in the day. Does that make sense? Like, that was a really big spot. And then also this afternoon, I noticed that they held the 5.2, 5.4, 5.3 ranges. Do you see this? These were the spots from our measured risk points. Okay, so if you're paying attention here, these were the 44-point metrics from yesterday. You guys listening? Look, what did they do in real time today? That really stood out. So real time today, they opened at 64, 50, 75. What does that mean? What does that imply? Where they opened today. Thank you, Brendan. What does this imply? And sorry, I should have posted that I was streaming on Twitter. I forgot. Yeah, they opened above 50 and they opened above the 44-point range, right? And in the means. So it implies that they likely want to come back and retest 6.4, 6.5, correct? This is a very, very, very important period for them to have sustained above the means and broken, tried testing these core areas like this point in time here. They also did test 6.8 here and 6.9. Remember 6.9 was our overhead from yesterday? Do you guys remember that? And they took it out just slightly. Do you see this? Did this help our odds? There's no way you guys forgot about 6.9 from yesterday already. So, okay, that's a 6.9 break, a 6.4, 6.5 hold right here. Okay, this gives you really good odds for getting the 6.4 or 7.4, 7.1, or 7.4, 7.6 overhead. Okay. Bigger areas that we'd have to break are closer to 7.8, 7.9. These are kind of like upper core areas, 7.9, 7.5, I would say. And we have some odds right now during imbalance prints. So another important period here for some bigger structural breaks through 7.8, 7.9. What's the goal for today? What are we trying to achieve? This is where you're right about that, dunks. Okay. So this gets repeated here. So they sustained core areas. They sustained 6.5, 6.6. They broke 7.1. They're retesting 7.4, 7.8. After sustaining 5.2 this afternoon, you can see the 5.2 hold. Okay. Do you see it? This is a really, really, really nice hold all afternoon of 5.2. Like there's no way you should have missed this. I don't see how you guys could have missed this. This 44-point hold is exact. Like they held this so nicely this afternoon. Even the slight breach back below in here was fine because they negated before 10. And notice it was like an immediate cancellation here. Do you see that? on this 2-minute, look, they immediately brought it back over 5253. And they opened above 5152. This is, or that 50 mark. So, okay, honestly, guys, I don't know what to tell you. Don't sit there and complain about calls or positions and whatever. If you sold too early, you sold too early. I jumped on stream, even though I'm kind of sick today, to make sure you guys don't miss it. So if you missed it, then that's, I don't know. Just forget about it. There's always going to be another trade. I came on literally before this, and before this. So if you missed that, that's, I don't know, that's on you. Or if you sold too early, just study then. Even on Apple, so we're still trading down here. So Apple, I think, could have a pretty decent chance of getting that engulfing scenario today. Kind of the range breaks right there. Well, and if you're too focused on that, then you're not going to learn anything. You guys are not learning anything if you're just sitting there talking about a trade that you sold too early. Like, what are we supposed to do for you guys? Nothing. That's just distracting you from getting another trade. Like, I don't really know how that's beneficial. Especially if we're trying to understand the ranges here. Something else that I noticed this afternoon too is when they broke 6-4 off opening range, this was also a 13-point break. Do you guys see this? This morning? So this was really good because I figured that, okay, that breaking right there implies that they do want to set this up for those bigger breaks this afternoon. Also, this was more than a 17-point break right here, but they kind of kept stalling 22 points in range. Do you see this? Off lows. So this was another reason why this point in the day was important, because it kind of takes 22 points off that that low of day and right at 309. Okay, so I do want to point that out too, because this implies what? What does this imply? Don't get this wrong. This is a very, very, very important observation here, especially for range till end of week. So them breaking 22 points in range and sustaining above that right at 309, 310, that can imply what? This is off low of day. This is off open. Okay, you can kind of see these were the 17-point breaks off open right here. Do you see that when they snapped? I don't know if you see this. These were the 22-point breaks at 321, FYI. 321 was the 22-point break from opening range. Someone write that in the chat. 3:21 p.m. was a very calculated time of day that Izzy had calculated earlier. This was also a 22-point break off today's opening range. And they closed above that. So what does that imply? So they hit a total of 24, 25, 26 points here. Okay. They stalled 13.5 points earlier, so I figured the theme could be that once they start hitting double those ratios, like 27, 28 points, they might start stalling. Does that make sense? And they were calculated around my 7-8 spot, so it did make sense. Okay. Off lows, how many points in range have we hit? I'm just going to delete these just because I can't really see. How many points in range have we hit from real-time low of day? Exactly 34 points. That's impressive. Is that a good spot to take at least? I would say more than half. 7-8's a huge spot. And look, it aligned exactly with our 7-8 spot. Do you think that this area was just a coincidence? Probably not, right? They made it so that this could be low of day, so that there could be overhead at 78, because that's the 34 points in range. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's insane. Do we still have odds to expand here, though? Above 7-8. What do you guys think? Considering we opened at 6450.75. Do we still have odds to expand here? Where did we stall the previous sessions here? Yeah, we do, right? But obviously there's going to be some crunch in time. 8485 has been a pretty heavy overhead, especially for this week. That was kind of where we stalled on Sunday night after failing to come back and retrace. Yesterday we stalled the 8283 area. 34 points in range from today's open is right around that 84 mark. Which I'm pretty sure the full break back to this 8788 overhead, which is the zone entry, is 44 points off lows. That's pretty impressive. That's actually crazy. 44 points off real-time low of day is exactly 648850, which takes us right back to the zone. It does take out these past structures here and sets us up to reset the conditions for the week for the 26th, which is basically resetting that 649497 retest. Okay, did today have pretty high odds of doing that? Yes. How much range have we hit overall from session lows to highs on these breaks? On that 321 through 324 window, we also broke 44 points off session lows around 7.4. So do you see the confluence around 7.4 and 7.8? From yesterday's session close, which I believe was around that 6.1 mark, right? 5.950, 60. Okay, let me just reset this. So from yesterday's highs to lows, maybe some overhead around 8688. Do you see this? Do you see the confluence around this spot here, guys? Especially around these areas. If they give us a 66 point break off lows, guess what? Guess what? That gives us our 6496.75, 6497 overhead. That's pretty insane. So they held exact range. These were the exact spots that we talked about yesterday. Off the actual session open and close, a 32-33 point ratio would take us back to that 9.293 retest. How insane is that? So 34 points from yesterday's close. Are you guys listening? Is exactly takes us back to weekly session open. I want to show you guys something. So this from here to here would be 6493.50 from yesterday's close. Okay. From today's open, I'm pretty sure it's a slightly higher break, which would take out that 6494.25, which I think is the weekly high, is it not? Or like slightly above the weekly high. Do you see that? Isn't that insane? Look at how aligned this is on a 66 and 34 point break. So I feel like market's definitely moving this week more so in line with the 34 to 66 point intervals from an open to close ratio, okay, or high to low, from an open to close, from low to high, from a closing range to a low range. It seems like they're working in 44 points, kind of like this range in here. So we definitely want to close at least around 65. That would give us at least a close above the means. That would be the worst case scenario, because we're trying to reset these pins, right? It's all we're trying to do. What would be the best case scenario here? Give me the pins for the close. This is why I'm saying technically they don't owe us above 7.8 today or 7.4. It would be nice if they did. What would they do today if that was the case? We don't have that much time left, only 15-20 minutes left. Give me the pin scenarios, pin the close. Give me worst case, okay, case, ideal, best case scenario for where they could pin the close today. really is just resetting those exact pin conditions from yesterday. But hopefully a little bit better this time, because yesterday was not a good close. We closed in the means. We don't want that. Give me the 4 scenarios. Come on. Give all 4 scenarios, because we want to see what this can get us to. Okay? We want to see from an open-close ratio where this could eventually get us to. Could we get our weekly targets if they give us some proper structure closes here? What do you guys think? Could they give us those resets? Let's say they close at 64, 74, 75. Could that give us a retest of all-time highs? Yes, it can. Okay. What would that be? Thumb pinning where? If they did something like that. What would that entail? If they pin close to like 7.4, okay, are you guys listening? 7.4, 7.5. Are you listening? That would be a better structural pin, and give a 22-point break. That would take out 9.6, 9.7. That would be a 34-point break. That could take us right back to 65.08, 75 retest. Do you see it? That's what would get you the 65. So basically 64.74, 75 gives you odds of getting back to 08, 09. Okay? At a minimum, trying to take out the 9.6, 9.7. Do you see how it's aligned with the 22-point break here, 34-point break here? And there's a slight odd that they could expand. This should be aligned with like that 6.4 or 6.5, 19, 18 area. So that area is not bad. That's a pretty good spot, right? From real-time open, which I think was right around here. Okay, we said the 44-point range, right? And even 34-point range. Obviously, these areas would be even better because they'd give you odds of getting the 20s and the top of the zone. Do you see that? These are like more aligned with like some neutral spots. The 7-8 area, which we already said is a really good alignment with real-time lows. This was the 34-point break off real-time lows, right? You can see how nicely they're holding up this range here. This could get you a really nice structure break off 7-8 to come back to real-time highs or all-time highs. Do you see that? So today's 34-point range from lows to highs gives us an odd, guys, of getting a 65.0875 retest. Do you see it? That's linked off this area here. And it gives us an odd of getting 65.10. Do you see what I'm saying? What's the big overhead that we really, really want to try to achieve? Do you see what I mean? So 7.6, 7.8 range gives odds of 65.10, 65.12. If they gave like a full extension here, There's a slight probability you can get the 20s. Do you see that's kind of where you could expand. That's what would get us our 65, 22. Okay, write these down so that you have them. Are those our weekly targets? Yes, right? That's why it's really crucial that they try resetting today's pin. So let's see, best case scenario, 8285. Yeah, 8285 is good, but it's one of those things, Brendan, that's like it's high, but it's not high enough. Does that make sense? It's like it's a good close, but it's actually not high enough and could cause volatility in the neutral zone, because that could stall 65.14 versus getting you to 65.20. Does that make sense? Sometimes it's better to have a lower structure that can meet the endpoints in a broken up period of time. Like even if you do it in increments, it's better than failing the first time at a neutral spot. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it's basically like if they take it there, that's okay, but that's not great. Like I would much rather have, because that would take you back to like what a good example is what happened August 13th. 8-4 was not a good close that day. We wanted 8-8, 8-9. Do you get what I'm saying? And if you closed around here, like 8-4, while it might seem like it's good, do you see how this is a 26-point ratio from there? Our 26-point ratio is good? No, right? They're not. Like these are not really the best ratios to work with. So, and if you broke, let's say even, you could stall 65, 16, 14. Like it's kind of like, it's a neutralized area. It's not like, whereas if you closed above like 8, 9, 9, 8 or something like that, then you'd have, or like 90, you'd have odds of getting directly to core, right? So I wouldn't say that the 84, 85 is the best case scenario. That is kind of like a good example of closing high, but not high enough. So best scenario, I would say, would probably be like the 8-8, 90, basically resetting our conditions from the week. Obviously 9-4, 9-5, 9-6 would be even better, but we're not going to get that. 7-1, 7-2 is not bad. We definitely don't want 5-8, 5-2. We want at least like the 6-6. Like we don't want to close beneath 33 points from highs. Like this would be the worst case scenario. We want to try closing at least 33 to 34 points from lows, okay? So that we can extend our highs. So I would say we want at least above 6.5 today. We do not want to close beneath these ranges, right? But a better structural break would probably be getting a 34 or 44 point close minimum. So, do you see what I'm saying? Like I would much rather they reset a minimum of 7-4, 7-6, 7-8 today. Like that, and then the best case scenario could be those upside ranges, especially if they expand us late day like they're doing right now. Does that make sense? Look at that stick break. They're really trying to take out the range. And they're trying to do it in a timely manner because they want to try getting us back to the zone. That's a really big candle here at this time of day. 3:50 p.m. giving us full range back to 7-8, 7-9 and a stick break of 7-8. This is really setting us up nicely to try getting the retest of 8-4, 8-5. 8-4-7-5 is the overhead. These were the targets that I had for end of session today. That would be, I think, 34 points off open. And I'm pretty sure we said 44 points off lows would be kind of the extended breaks right here. Yeah, this is the 44 points off lows, you guys, at 7-9. Someone document that from that overnight midpoint. This is already a 44-point break here off lows. Off real-time lows, I'm pretty sure we said that this would be breaking close to that 34-point mark. If they clear this, which they are, I think they closed above. I think to close above has to be 7-850. Yeah, they did. They closed above 34 points. This could easily get that nice break that we're looking for. Where did we open today? 50.75. So I still think there's pretty decent odds that they can give us that 8-4 mark, 8-5. If they really want to expand us, they would take us back to the zone. Okay, I think to do that, they'd probably have to take out 8-4, 8-5 in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Otherwise, that's probably not going to happen. So there are some odds, guys, of 9-3, 9-4, 9-5 resets. If they can give us that 350 break is try to set this up. Okay, let me focus a little bit here because I still have some open positions. So Brendan, do you see what I'm saying? Because we actually have odds of getting to 9-2, 9-4, 9-3, like the weekly resets for today. So I would prefer that like minimum 6-8, 7-1, right? Ideally at least 7-4, 7-5, 7-6, 7-8. Mid like point would be like the 8-3, 8-4, 8-5. Ideally, the best case scenario would be back to 8-8, 8-9, 90, 9-1. I'm not sure like if we can get 9-2, 9-3, 9-4, but there is an odd of that happening. Wow, these actually trigger $2 off that. That's insane. What do you guys think? Max range. So far they're stalling this 5-4 stick. 5-4 is very, very, very important that they try getting some stick breaks. 5-4, 5-5. Are these pinnable areas for the close? Okay, are these pinnable areas for the close? Nice. Yes, they are. So technically we're not really owed anything above here. It would be nice if they did. So let's see where they can take us to here. The 55, 56 stick are going to set the tone here. 8-2, 8-3 were some overheads from yesterday. 84, 8475, I'm pretty sure is the exact spot. I'm just going to mark that here. Hold on. Let me just mark this. 8475. This is the big overhead. This is what could potentially get us that break to 88, 89. I'm not really sure if we have enough time to do it, but if they try to keep this pushing, there's definitely a slight odd. Okay, let's see, 84 area. That would be 34 or 44 points from 34 points, sorry, from session open. Where do they stall right now? 8-1? What do you guys think? Give me your max range in the chat for real time. I'm not going to put up a poll. I'm just curious what you guys think. This is resetting our weekly conditions. And August 26th had the highest odds of doing so. So there's a lot of confluence with today's date, which is the only reason why I'm thinking they could do this today. Okay. Put a number in the chat, guys. $8.225 break. I don't know if that's quite high enough. I guess we'll see what they do here in the last 2 minutes. They might just pin the close. They might just do this final 59 stick. I feel like they have better odds to continue after the bell to those ranges, but we'll see here. I think if they take out that 8375, 8475 before 59, there's a decent odd. This could be a really nice SPX trade if anyone tried long off this 6-8 hold right here. Anyone try back in here for end of day ramp to 8-4, 8-5, potentially 8-8, 90. I'm not sure if they'll give us 9-3, 9-4 in real time. but there's definitely some odds they could do that after the bell, especially if they take out this 8475 here before this 58 mark. Let's see. They stalled exactly 8450 at 57. Can someone document that? Someone document this. That's extremely calculated that they would do something like that, because they know that this is the trigger. 847585. That's the bigger overhead. How many think they'll take this out here? Final stick. How many think they'll take this out final stick? We had durations till the close. Well, we still want this stick, though, to close above 8.2. You know what I mean? Like, 8.2 was a really calculated overhead from yesterday. If they take it out in the first 30 seconds, there's a really good odd. 15-second break here. I think that was in the first 5. No, first 10. We need to close above it, though. Especially off the 30-second interval. We'll see here. That's exact range. That's insane. 8.5 triggering to the exact penny here at 5.9. We had pretty decent odds for the 4 p.m. stick. What do you guys think? Will they take it out in real time? Yes, no, maybe so. I think it's like if it's off the first 10 seconds, that probably implies they might do it the final 10 seconds. That's insane that they're going to probably pin this range here. Right back to 7-8. We had higher odds at 4, so 4 makes more sense that they would do this at 4, especially in the first like 10-15 second interval. Or after the close. Where do they end up stalling? 8.5 exact penny stall. That's insane. 6.48475. 6.485 was my max range for real time today. They stalled right at 359, and that 357 stick failing to break ahead of 5.8, I'm pretty sure set the tone. So let's see if they had any odds of getting a break into the zone based on this. Had they broke a little bit higher here, there might have been some odds that they could have cleared. Yeah, do you see that? To 90, 8.9, 8.8. Do you guys see this? Especially off this 8.475. That was the calculated spot. Look at this. Are you guys seeing this? That would have given us odds of getting that 8.8, 8.9, 90 break in real time. So the stall at 5.7 told me everything I needed to know, because usually you have to get a cleared break ahead of that 5.9 stick, and then the 5.8 stick not opening above and not clearing above also kind of set the tone there. I think that's for the 4 o'clock range. I think max range, they might have stalled closer to 8.8. Okay, this is off the 359 stick. That's still insane. You guys have to admit that that's actually crazy. Isn't that insane? That those align exactly to our 8.8, 8.9, 90 spots, and they stalled exactly 6.434, 6.48475. That's impressive. That's impressive. So Brendan, you're not wrong. Your areas are good, right? It's just, I would say that best case scenario would have been probably closer to up here, right? This is not a bad real-time scenario, but hopefully they can actually give us some pins in the zone for the session close. I think they still have some odds after the bell. Ideally, we wanted to hold at least above 6.8, 6.9. I really did not want them to close this back beneath that ratio, especially for real-time. Okay, like we really wanted to close at least above here. This would have helped us a lot. Minimum closing around here. Okay, if they can get us, this was also the 34-point break right here off yesterday's lows. this is setting us up for the best odds to getting there. Okay, good luck at the dentist, Brendan. And then this 44-point break right here is kind of what we're aiming for to give us those better resets. So 6878 break, 68 hold right here ahead of 350, 78 break right here right at 350, 8283 the stall. Any questions, guys, before I sign off? This was a really good session. That's not the best close, but that's a pretty good close. This is at least setting us up for a reset for our 27th, 28th. We have some odds for the 29th. Essentially, we're just trying to get a decent reset for structure here. At least it's still better than the 6869. It's still better than this 6465. It's not quite as good as the 8889, but there's a chance they might do that after the bell here. We'll see. Okay, I will catch you guys tomorrow.